The homeroom teacher never imagined that, on his way home, he'd be ambushed by a group of students hiding in the trees. The moment they made their move, an invisible barrier appeared, stopping all of them in their tracks. The students, determined, would challenge Yuki with everything they had. They knew one thing for sure: if they defeated Yuki, they could leave the village and go to the big city they'd always dreamed of. But reality was harsh. No matter how many times they charged at Yuki, they lost within seconds. There was almost no chance of winning. Then, one day, a male teacher appeared. He told the students he would help them achieve their dreams. He handed them a magical tool and patiently taught them how to use it. The tool required magic abilities to activate, but Tota had no magical aptitude. The teacher gave him a special bracelet that would work even without magic powers. Tota took the bracelet home, but hesitated all night, unable to decide whether to use it. At that moment, Yuki appeared beside him, noticing the bracelet in his hand. Tota, feeling guilty, quickly claimed it was a gift for her. Yuki accepted it without question. The next day, she put the bracelet on, but as soon as she did, she unknowingly stepped right into a trap. Everyone around them was thrilled, but their joy only lasted for a moment before the teacher, who had been observing in secret, revealed himself. In the blink of an eye, 4 students were knocked unconscious. Then the teacher summoned several sharp steel needles and shot them straight at Yuki, who was immobilized. Yuki instinctively tried to cast a magical defense, but the bracelet suppressed her powers. As the needles pierced her body, it was the first time Yuki's expression showed shock, but she didn't fall immediately because she was a vampire. The teacher's true identity was that of a bounty hunter specializing in hunting vampires for profit. He remained eerily calm, without a single unnecessary word, and raised his blade to finish Yuki off. At that moment, Tota finally arrived. He intended to confront the teacher, but before he could speak, the blade flashed, and Tota lost his left arm. The teacher still wore a gentle smile, but his blade was now aimed at Tota as well. Yuki desperately tried to block the attack, but she was bound by a curse, making it difficult for her to even defend herself. The next moment, Yuki was kicked aside, and a series of blows followed. In an instant, she was reduced to pieces, her blood and flesh scattered on the ground. Tota collapsed in despair, but the bounty hunter showed no mercy, driving his blade straight into Tota's chest. Tota's consciousness began to fade, but he could hear Yuki's voice. She told him to either give up and die here or drink her blood and become an immortal vampire monster. For his friends, and for Yuki, Tota didn't hesitate. As the hunter turned to attack the others, a severed arm suddenly flew through the air, blocking his path. The hunter turned to see Tota standing up. At first, the hunter didn't care and easily knocked Tota back down, but to his surprise, Tota got up again. Tota's wounds healed at an astonishing rate, and the arm he had lost regenerated instantly. Eventually, the hunter was overwhelmed and defeated. Tota collapsed once more, this time losing consciousness completely. In his dazed state, he thought he saw a little blonde girl. When he woke up again, he realized he was resting on Yuki's lap. Yuki, now fully revealed as a vampire, had covered her legs in black stockings. To avoid causing trouble for the village, they had to leave. Their destination was the capital's Sky Tower. Tota excitedly talked about making 100 friends once they reached the capital, but Yuki coldly reminded him that, as a monster now, if he got too close to ordinary people, he would only leave regrets. Tota pretended not to care, but he still felt down when he took a bath later. In a daze, he accidentally bumped into something soft, not a stone. He apologized quickly, but the person didn't hesitate and immediately knocked him away with a sword. Tota realized right away that the person before him was no ordinary individual. Before he could speak, he found the person before him was strikingly handsome. The misunderstanding was quickly cleared up, and they introduced themselves. Tota learned the person's name was Sokka. To Tota's shock, Sokka was from the Sky Tower in the capital, here to carry out a mission. Tota was ecstatic and began asking Sokka about the secrets of the tower. They quickly became friends, discussing more and more. At that moment, Yuki appeared with drinks in hand. Before Tota could introduce them, Sokka's expression turned cold. He drew his sword and attacked Yuki. Yuki easily blocked the attack and immediately saw through Sokka's style. He was from a family of demon hunters, specializing in hunting vampires and immortals. His target this time was Yuki herself. Tota, furious, scolded Yuki for being too harsh, but Yuki calmly reminded him to pay attention to Sokka's body. Sokka's wounds healed instantly, showing that he, too, had immortality and self-healing abilities. It wouldn't be long before he regained his strength. As Tota looked at Sokka's handsome face, his curiosity grew. After Sokka revived, he still wasn't giving up. He charged at Yuki once more, determined to complete his mission. Yuki looked down at him with disdain, dismissing him as weak. She used Tota as a shield, sitting back to watch the show. Sokka had no choice but to first defeat Tota before challenging Yuki. Tota didn't want to lose this new friendship, so he proposed a condition: the loser must fulfill a request from the winner. Though Sokka didn't understand Tota's reasoning, he agreed to the challenge and handed him a weapon. However, Tota wasn't skilled with weapons. He used it as a throwing weapon and fought Sokka in close combat. With his powerful healing ability and innate combat skills, Tota managed to hold his own against Sokka, but, lacking proper training, Tota soon showed a weakness, and Sokka took the opportunity to strike. Tota lost consciousness, but Sokka underestimated his self-healing powers. Once Tota regained his senses, he struck Sokka with one powerful punch, ending the fight. When Sokka recovered, Tota made his request that Sokka be his friend for life. Though they had just become friends, Sokka remained secretive, and Tota began to question his gender. Sokka insisted he was a boy, and Tota chose to believe him. To strengthen their bond, Tota decided to take Sokka to the women's bathhouse to witness Yuki's charm. Sokka was concerned, knowing Yuki was the most powerful vampire, but Tota was thrilled. He left Sokka behind and climbed a 100-meter cliff to sneak into the bathhouse. However, instead of seeing Yuki, Tota was met with a young girl who was staring at him. Disappointed, Tota wondered where Yuki had gone. Noticing Tota didn't recognize recognize her, Yuki swallowed a pill and reverted to her original form. She wasn't angry with Tota for spying. Instead, she found it amusing and healthy for him as a man. She offered that if Tota could steal her towel, he could see her full charm. But Tota wasn't interested and turned her down, even mocking her. Yuki's anger flared, and she cast a spell, turning the hot spring into an icy one. She then decided to teach Tota a lesson and show him her true power. Sokka, confused, watched as Tota fell off the cliff. Without hesitation, he rushed to save him. Tota, grateful, realized that as a vampire, he couldn't die from a fall. Then, Tota planned to use his friendship with Sokka to ask him to throw him back up again. Tota successfully grabbed the towel, but he wasn't interested in Yuki, causing her to get furious and dunk him into the water. This scene finally opened Sokka's heart, and Tota immediately invited him to travel together. Sokka agreed, and Yuki said she'd take Sokka on as an apprentice. Before they left, Tota still wanted to know Sokka's gender, and Yuki was curious too. The three of them continued their journey toward the capital. At this point, Tota had a bold idea. He wanted to recruit more immortals and form an alliance of immortals. Yuki laughed at this, saying someone had once told her the same thing. Just as Tota was about to explain, a car suddenly stopped in front of them. Two men stepped out of the car and respectfully addressed Yuki as master. Then, Tota saw a magical sword. The sword's weight could be adjusted at will. The man adjusted the weight to 1,000 times heavier, then threw it at Tota. Tota tried to catch it with one hand but ended up smashing the floor and injuring himself. Fortunately, as a vampire, he recovered quickly. The man casually picked up the sword, increased the weight again, and the ground began to crack, but he remained steady. It wasn't until the weight reached 500,000 times that he swung the sword casually, causing the ground to split. This man was a member of the Immortal Organization, ranked second in strength. This organization gathered many immortals, including vampires like Tota and those who could come back to life. Soon, Tota and Sokka were preparing to join the organization, but they had to pass an exam first. The exam involved one-on-one battles, where landing a single hit on the opponent was enough to pass. The fourth-ranked short-haired girl volunteered to be Tota's opponent. Tota felt the killing intent and the exam began. Tota tried to sneak attack, but the short-haired girl easily countered and knocked him down with one strike. Sokka's opponent was ranked 6th, and the power difference was clear. Sokka's every attack was blocked, and they were in a stalemate for a long time. At this moment, a maid passed by holding some trash. As her view was blocked, she accidentally tripped and fell. Tota, surprised by the presence of an ordinary person, helped her up and learned she had more work to do. He decided to help her. While moving boxes, Tota heard someone call his name. He entered a basement and found something unusual. The two of them walked deeper into the basement and found a sword stuck in the floor, with an older man sitting nearby. The man, claiming to be ranked 2nd in the organization, suggested that Tota try to pull the sword out of the floor. If he succeeded, it would be his. Tota tried his best, but the sword didn't move. The man bragged about the sword's history, but then Tota heard a voice in his head, telling him to turn the sword's handle. Tota did so, and the sword came out easily. Confused, he didn't know who had given him the tip. To his surprise, the voice came from the sword itself. The man was left speechless. He understood that the sword had chosen Tota, and he began teaching him swordsmanship. The man then increased the sword's weight to 500,000, and the sword's air pressure left a mark on Tota's face. The two decided to stay and train hard. From time to time, they sparred until the day of the exam arrived. They prepared to face their opponents. Sokka was confident, sure that he could pass, but reality was brutal. Despite his improved speed and precision, he still couldn't break through his opponent's defense. Each counterattack from the glasses-wearing man left Sokka struggling. Just when Sokka couldn't hold on any longer, he remembered his battle with Tada and came up with a plan. He purposely left an opening and allowed the glasses-wearing man to wound him. When the man attempted to finish him off, Sokka used the thread to control the weak spot and struck the man from behind, landing a fatal blow. The man's body revealed a series of numbers, and after exhausting one of his lives, he resurrected and told Sokka that he had passed the exam. Meanwhile, Tota, wielding the gravity sword, fought back against his opponent, even gaining a slight advantage. Tota's fluid and adaptive swordplay brought the gravity sword's potential to its peak. Just as he was about to win, a maid's scream echoed from a distance. Tota immediately abandoned the fight and rushed toward the sound. At that moment, the maid was being attacked by a monster. In the nick of time, Tota was ready to use the gravity sword to take the monster down with a single blow. However, he was stopped by the short-haired girl, who had just arrived. She was concerned that the maid might get hurt in the process.